The Peril of the Brutal Dark, an Ezra CAIN mystery, issue 2, Chris Condon writing with JACOP PHILLIPS on the R. So yeah, continuing the mystery set up last time. The wife of the janitor showing up, or the security guard. Was that janitor or security guard? Doesn't really matter, I suppose.
Yeah.
He works in the museum.
He was security.
So she's there and explaining the husband went missing, and it's not until she actually says what the museum is, like, you know, because he's like, oh, what museum was it? Where he sort of gets a little bit of a, oh shit, these two cases might be connected. I'm going to have to look into this. She doesn't have a whole lot of information on what the Brutal Dark are, just that this kind of shady, like they keep calling, they'd come and try and talk to my husband and he'd try and ignore them and tell him to go away. And the only real thing she has to go on is that it kind of spawned from when her husband went to this meeting at like this clockmaker's place, where it was maybe like a sort of like, oh, German nationals living in, you know, the city can meet up and like, you know, kind of bond and talk about the home life and all that. And but he went there and then realized, oh no, these are wrongins. This is more of a cult meeting or whatever, or organized crime.
They're talking about the fatherland, not the homeland.
Yeah. Oh dear.
So
things have went.
And yeah, so he left, and then he ends up being at the he's the security guard at the National History Museum. So that's when he realizes that's where we're tying these together.
So, but that's kind of like your one hint as to like this group and what they're up to. And then we go to New Jersey next, and it's basically Ezra going to see his old archaeologist professor, the one who found the anvil that was stolen, the one who recommended Ezra for this case. And they reminisce. They're like, hey, it's, you know, they think fondly of each other, and ultimately go back to the professor's place to like talk about the case. And the professor explains the anvil and says, oh, it's believed to have supernatural powers and energy because it was built, you know, it built the gods of the weapons of the gods, and it's all this stuff, and it's supernatural. And I wouldn't have believed it, but I saw the energy coming from it. I saw these automatons come to life, you know, and walk around.
So they walked before me, not just like simple motion. They were like alive.
Yeah, they were,
and it didn't make any sense.
They were doing something, and basically the gist of all this is that the Nazis want this power. They want this supernatural force to do what they want, build armies of automatons to just go in and wipe people out and whatever else they can probably think of using it for. So it's like, okay, we have the stakes, we understand the weight of the world and all the rest of it, and Ezra's maybe not necessarily ready to believe that this is true, but he's definitely willing to believe that the enemy believes it's true, and that they have maybe kidnapped this man and stolen the anvil and whatever else. Like, so even if he doesn't believe in the actual supernatural part, he can still believe that all these bad things are happening because someone does. So you know, that sets things up quite well.
And so the professor brings up about the phrase "the brutal dark," that it came from an Edgar Allan Poe poem, and that it, you know, the piece that it pulls from says, "Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming, dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before." So it sets the tone about if this is what this brutal dark is, right? It's almost like they're looking into the unknown and how to make them better, which is like, that's some very National Socialist kind of rhetoric. You know, and so I still expect kind of maybe some kind of twist with them, because how they're keeping them in shadows and whatnot. But they don't sound good. I mean, if they didn't like the brutal dark, they sound like bad guys for sure.
Yeah, and there's also, he kind of debates, like, why was it at the museum? Why not hide this away where no one would ever know about it? And basically he's like, oh, because hiding it in plain sight and people seeing it and thinking it's just an anvil's a better way to dispel it. But unfortunately, Hitler and his people know about it. They know that it maybe has this power, and therefore this is all the stuff that's happening. So they have a very friendly goodbye. There's a quick little flashback for, I assume, Ezra's time in the war, the First World War, be precise.
Yep. He's a pilot. Looks like he was shot down.
Yep, and we get him running from all these soldiers and all the click clack of all the feet, and then that he kind of wakes up and it's replaced with the clock. The clock is ticking, and it's kind of like replaced the sound effects of the feet. So he's like, okay, a clock, the clockmaker, that's where the meeting was that this security guard went to. I'm going to go and check this place out. And that builds up to the end of her issue. And I was really glad this scene was here, because I enjoyed the issue up until this point, but it was, a big conversation with the woman who came to his office, and then a very long conversation with his professor, which was good, and the art was doing a good job of selling the little mannerisms in the faces and all that stuff. But it was two big conversations. I was like, where's the suspenseful like sneaking around from issue 1? So luckily this scene came in and gave me that, because he goes to this clockmaker or clockworks building, and there's several silent pages of him like trying the door and not opening, him looking down the street trying to figure out a solution. You see him like sort of go around the corner, grab the bin and like drag it over to the window where he's going to, so it's just silent except the sound effect of the as he's like dragging it, and just very atmospheric. It really sells the pacing, and it was just really enjoyable to get to this with all the blues and the yellows of the street lights, and really
it looks so good.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous stuff, really well paced. But the big ending though is that he hears someone coming, and when he looks down at their feet, he sees like metal feet as if it's the automatons in a trench coat, which I thought was like a really cool visual. And then a big shadowy figure in the alley shows up speaking German and starts throwing him around, and the issue ends with this guy, and I say guy, could be an automaton, with his hand around Ezra Cain's neck saying that we'll take your life, and that's the cliffhanger. So very good.
He gets his butt kicked, by whatever this guy is.
Yeah, he's either a big German dude or he's an automaton. Yep.
Or maybe a mix of the two, because they got the Anvil,
Oh, maybe.
They've done some, dark science.
But we definitely saw some automaton legs under that first trench coat that was walking down the street. So, we got black magic robots, I guess, is what we'll call that.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that it's at the clockmaker factory, right? And we get these clicks.
It suggests that they're maybe building the automatons there, because it's all gears and that kind of thing.
And man, I was enjoying it. I mean, this is it's very Indiana Jones, very Dashiell Hammett, which even the mentor tells Ezra Cain, he's like, you still on your Hammett stuff, being a detective, So I do like the self-referential there, but when we got to the dream sequence flashback kind of thing where he's being chased by German soldiers, but they almost look like zombies, right? So I wonder what's going on with that. Is that just how he perceived them, and this is getting a flashback to how he got out of there, or is this something, of something to come? But the art here in the last sequence too, with the fight where we get the whole color backgrounds. So when the guy grabs Ezra, it's yellow right behind him on that panel. And then when he throws him, it goes to pink. To Ezra on the ground, it's blue. So just really showing action through color changes, I think is a real smart move. Because you're doing more with less here. But whole lot of fun. I'm thoroughly enjoying this book.
Yeah, no, it looks great. Like I said, my concern about 2/3 through might be, this is just nothing but exposition. Not bad exposition by any means, but just exposition. And then, the final scene gave me the more quiet suspense, because that was the start of issue 1. The first third of that issue was just all this silent action of the chase sequence and all that, and I was really glad to get some of that. I think that's something they probably need to try and balance, of always making sure there's some of that in each of these issues, because it's such a highlight when it happens. So really, really excited to see more of this. It's very good. I'm the actual mystery is fine. I'm excited to see the more crazy kind of elements of it, of having automatons and whatnot. I like that it's getting almost more pulpy the more we find out about it, but it's more the presentation and the art and just how well paced it is that's really clicking with me more than anything. So all right, what are you giving Peril the Brutal Dark and Ezra Cain Mystery issue 2?
I'm giving this one 8.5.
I think I agree with that. 8.5. Yep, it's very, very good.